Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Monday evening live stream. I'm Paint Fumes, also known as Lynell Ingram, the artist here, and today going to be working on a portrait painting in acrylic. So that is the plan. And I was trying to pick out somebody maybe interesting and semi-recognizable at least. I guess it depends on the circles you run in or what your interests are, but I chose Vivienne Westwood. She is kind of the fashion icon for punk rock. She was there from the very early days and influencing things. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I think that I'm going to swap my chair real quick because I feel very low compared to where my painting is on the table. So I'm going to grab my drafting chair instead of my regular office chair. Ugh. And try to have room for all of these things. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I didn't knock everything over. Things everywhere. Okay. Oh, now I'm high up. Okay, that might be a little too high. Where's my... Trying to figure all these things out. There we go. Maybe that's better. All right. Now the camera doesn't have to be looking at the top of my head necessarily. All right. Okay. Let me switch this back to here. There we are. Now you can see my canvas. This is a board. It's a 1/2 inch wood masonite board that has gesso on it, and I had some time ago, a good amount of time ago, done some layers of texture on this piece with the intention of doing a different project on it, which never happened. And I was looking for a not too huge, but also not too small canvas to work on today. And everything I had was either very tiny or obnoxiously large. So then I saw this guy kind of stashed away in a shelf, and it's like, and I thought that would be a good fit for the day. Why not? Okay. I have my color image on the computer, so I will be doing a little back and forth looking, which is not the most convenient, but I think it will work all right for today. First things first is getting my paint out on my palette here. I don't have a dedicated camera for that, but we're just gonna go with it as it is. And I'm running out of white paint. For some reason, it hadn't occurred to me to buy any more, but yeah, getting really low there. Gonna need to do something about that. All right. Because that's kind of a standard, and you definitely use a decent amount of white. Well, I guess I do. I do have more white paint. I have a huge thing of white paint, but it's just not the nice heavy-bodied stuff is all. Oh, well, all right, yeah. I'll figure it out. Whatever. What do I need here? Some yellow. I've got my dioxazine, because you can't see my palette, dioxazine purple. Dioxazine purple? I don't know. Dark purple. I got my white. I've got now some bright cadmium, well, it's cadmium free yellow. And gotta have some red, some of the standards for skin tones we're getting on here. Well, I mean, I guess it depends how you work. I tend to avoid using browns or blacks on my paint palette most of the time. I like to just mix my own tones mostly if I can. You know, sometimes it works well. Often it works all right. Every now and again I throw myself for a loop. I do like, though, some yellow oxide. That is kind of a standby for me. It's a color that I use a lot for this kind of thing. So, I don't know. If you consider that a brown, then I guess I was lying earlier. Alright, what else? What else? I'm also going to throw some teal and orange on my palette. Because Vivienne Westwood is a very colorful character. So we're going to go with some fun and intense colors too. And heck, why not? Let's get some magenta on there too. Come on. Oh, it's all dried up. I hate these tubes. More specifically, I hate these caps because it always breaks on me. Always breaks. And then the paint's dried up right here and it's really hard to get some out. And does not make me happy. See if I can get it out. If I can. Do I have a sharp implement somewhere? Pencil? Sharp enough. Dig out some of this dried up gunk. I like these paints. I like the golden. Oh, that went on the floor somewhere. Golden paints. I like their paints. But this kind of thing is a real killer. I can't even get it out of there. That's why I tend towards the the Liquitex tubes. I gave up. Unless I'm going to cut this tube open right now, which I just don't want to deal with at the moment. No magenta. It's orange. So I tend to buy these mostly because the caps never give me troubles like these other guys do. These are and then I have this cadmium-free orange Utrecht color. And the lid is kind of similar to that, to the golden one, where it's the two separate parts and it's real hard plastic. It's a little wider. I don't know how this one's going to go. I haven't bought Utrecht paint. I maybe have had it when I was in college, because if I recall, my school, the school I went to, my art school, had a Utrecht store in it. Like, I guess that was like our bookstore, but it was the supply store, tiny little art supply store on the on the campus, which was one building, so in the building. Okay, I'm also going to add some matte fluid to my palette, assuming I can open it. There we go. Because acrylic gets funky after a while sitting out, and this just helps it not get too nasty dried up. It allows it to flow a little bit more. All right, got the paints out, and I guess I'll start with maybe some shadows. It screws me up a bit. They always say you're supposed to paint, and it's supposed to, like, who cares? But dark to lights is generally the appropriate way. Maybe to paint with, like, acrylics or oils, pastels. But when you work with watercolor, I mean, it's kind of the opposite. Maybe I'm wrong about both things. It's possible. But yeah, because I paint a lot with watercolor anymore. So switching and coming back to going back and forth between them, it takes a second to adjust, and I have a tendency to not always follow rules. Not that I'm ever been the person to follow rules very well. Okay, I got my sketch here. It's very light. It was difficult to get it to show up at all on this really textured background, so hopefully I don't get too thrown off by that. But yeah, I'll be looking at my image over here, and we're just gonna start putting some stuff down. That was not a very nice 9. Okay. Get some of my fluid medium in there that I was talking about. And just start laying in some darks. I don't think this is going to be my darkest dark, but we're going to go ahead and work with it. Okay, here we go. I like, the picture I'm working with is from, I believe, taken about the time she turned 80. She's passed, I think, earlier this year it was. And I love painting people who have some age on their face. I just love the texture of it, of them. I love the character that they have on their faces. It's just so much more interesting to me. And I really love that in this picture, and almost every picture of her, there's like this little bit of almost like a coy snarl, which is very appropriate for who she was and her influence, coming from the punk movement primarily. Back when I was in like junior high and early high school, I was a fan of punk rock. I kind of went through a little phase, I guess, and I still enjoy some of that stuff, some of it, especially the old school stuff. I really liked the Sex Pistols, and I also embraced a bit of a Riot Grrrl phase in the 90s. And she was a part of like the beginning of the Sex Pistols in England. They were kind of put together by a shop owner. And she was with that shop owner. Was she married to him? I don't remember. But yeah, right from the get-go, she was shaping that scene. If I had like a lot of cameras or more room to set up the cameras in a intelligent way, I wouldn't mind having had one on the palette and having had the photo, my reference photo up. I wonder, I guess I could do it, but it'll take time and we're already going, so I could do that. I can't do the camera on the palette thing, but I could do the camera thing, but yeah, we're already moving. So we're just gonna go with it. It is the photo that I used on the thumbnail. Yeah, the thumbnail. That's what I'm thinking of. The photo that I used on the thumbnail for this stream is the one that I am working off of. I can really only see like the basic shapes of my initial sketch. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that's kind of what I'm working with here. And earlier this week, I kind of decided to do this because I'd done a acrylic portrait last week, which, I mean, I've done literally more than 100 portraits in watercolor, but I'd never really done a portrait in acrylic, and I ended up doing a painting of Freddie Mercury. And I really enjoyed it, and I was really pleased with how it turned out, so I decided to keep going and maybe try a couple more. And so that's where we are now. When I did that one, it was only an 8 by 10, and it probably took me in total maybe about 4 hours. So I don't know if I will be successful in actually finishing this in tonight's stream, because I'm probably not going to stream for 4 hours. I don't know that anybody would want to watch me paint for that long. But, you know, we'll see. I'll give it my best. All right. A little bit more dark tone. Actually, I'm going to need a smaller brush pretty much here. What do we want? What do we want? Trying really hard to do a better job of taking care of my brushes. A lot of my brushes I've had for a really long time. And I've started investing in some that are a little bit better quality, and also with the old ones, I have had a history of being a very, very bad brush keeper, and I'm trying to do better. Ariset, can you prop the reference photo in front of you somehow? Then we can see it too. Yeah, what I'm doing is actually looking back at my screen. And you know, I can do something here. Let me attempt to add it onto the screen. I think I can do that. If you will bear with me for a second. Image and that actually will help me too, probably, because otherwise I'm turning back and forth, which isn't the most amazing thing to watch, right? Okay, let's see. Can I get her on there? Whoa! She big. I'm gonna turn that. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. Make her a little smaller over here. Move her down. Whoa, not that far down. Okay. Well, essentially, there we go. Hey, look at this technology. All right, there we are. We have it. Let me move. That didn't mess things up, did it? All right. Okay. Yes. Continuing on with making a mess. And I am doing what? What am I doing? Okay. Just got much darker shadow. I kind of blocked in all the primary shadowy areas, but there is some darker stuff going on in spots. I do sometimes use a Payne's Gray for some of my really dark colors too, but I didn't put it out today. I think I like working with the dark purple as my deep shade when I'm doing skin tones, especially. And kind of block in where my nostrils are here, because that's like the darkest. I can just sort of get that down and in place. Just to hold that spot for me while I continue to layer on. She has very nicely symmetrical nostrils. I don't know what that's like. I don't know if, like, maybe when I was a kid I broke my nose at some point, or I was just born that way, but my nostrils are not symmetrical. They're like both completely different shapes. Don't ask why, I do not know. Can't lose that little horn. Which again, so like irreverent. I love it. I aspire to be the old lady that dresses crazy and has the colored hair, lots of cats. I aspire to being like an old crazy lady. That's goals in life as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see how that goes, but I guess I have little ways to go, but you know, you got to start somewhere. And it's good to have goals. Yeah. Why fear getting old when you can just become more fabulous? All right. Now, there's a touch of overexposure on the photo for her where like you lose some of the flesh tones on her forehead, and the nose and the highlighted areas are really pushed white. And I think that there's a tendency for photographers and videographers to do that to women when we're not 20 anymore to try to obfuscate some of the characteristics of age. Sometimes it makes me nuts. Eccentric, I think, is the term. Yes, well, all about the eccentric. Not that I'm, totally normal now or anything. All right. So getting some different shades on here. It's funny you mention that regarding old. I follow an art dude in his later years who does weekly essays on YouTube, and it's one of the things he talks about how everyone should be honored to be old. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, especially because it's better than the alternative, right? But it's such a BS kind of consumerist capitalist thing that so much value has put on being young and trying to maintain youth. It's like, what a bunch of garbage. We can be fabulous at any age. In fact, yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to being 20. That was not fabulous time of my life. Not that I'm fabulous now, but definitely a lot more confident than I was back in those days. No doubt about that. But yeah, we need to normalize that aging is okay. It doesn't make you worth any less. Although, that's still something I guess we have to fight a bit. Oh man, I just painted in that little horn again. Yeah, okay. How being old is great because you're on the outside of society's expectations, almost invisible, you're free. Yeah, and that's a sad thing that it's an invisible quality. In a way that's sad, but I guess you can work it to your advantage. And it's certainly, you see a lot of people as they age, they get to be to the point where they just kind of don't care about anything, and they'll say what they want to say, and yeah, that level of, what is that, irreverence and just not giving a crap anymore. Seems like something worth aspiring to at any age, to me. Devil's advocate. Elders in communities are considered more worthy simply because they're old. Been researching cults for my project. Oh, interesting project. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like anything where just because you are A doesn't mean you automatically are B. even though it might often be a good way to look at it. I like the concept of, respecting people that have been through life and know a thing or two, but you also have to know individuals' limitations as well. I'm sure we've all known people of any given age that also have been maybe not the kind of people you'd want to listen to or take advice from. Which is totally a thing. Alright, what was I gonna paint now? She's rocking it with the makeup. At 80 years old, her makeup looks infinitely better than mine ever does. But yeah, aging into a badass sounds pretty good to me. Okay. Yeah. She definitely has some blush on, but I'll get to that. Let me get some of the lighter skin tone put down first. So my brushes start running away from me. You will work. I think. Yeah, sure. All right, what are we doing? That means more white, and more yellow, and much more white. Not more white. That was too yellow. She's more like super pale pink. Cooler skin tone. Okay. I tried my first watercolor pencils this week. I was using very, very, very beat up brushes. Had to Google how to make them usable. That's awesome. Watercolor pencils can be great. I've not used them a ton. Every now and again I would use them to like add some finishing fine details, and they're especially great at that. But yeah, brushes, man. I would get yelled at by instructors in college about like the materials that I was using. Poor college student, you do what you can. Try to do the best you can. But I think with watercolor is one of those areas where you can definitely notice a difference with the quality of your materials more than almost any other medium. Especially the paper. And I have occasionally worked at trying to save some brushes that are in extreme disrepair, and that's a process, and there's things you can try to do. Like I'd soaked them where there was like a lot of paint, dried in gunk towards the bottom, so like only the top of the bristles would really be pliable. Like really, really poor quality. Not taking care of brushes. And I soaked them, if you leave them in a cup like this, which you really don't want to do very long, but just for a short period of time, and you have some like rubbing alcohol or acetone, but don't have it come up as high as the, man, I can never remember what this is called. The metal part, the clampy thing, just the bristle part. And it can sit there for just a little bit of time, and then using, geez, my brain just keeps going blank. And then using some Dawn dish soap to work at them too, or dish soap in general. especially something that's good if you're working with any medium that's oils. Having something that'll clean up grease definitely helps. Yeah, I did spend a bunch of time trying to rescue some brushes. Some of them being my own, some of them being from the art studio that I have been working at. And that's a real thing. The best thing really to do is just, try to take care of your brushes the first time and don't let them get that bad, because it's just an expensive mess. Even for cheaper brushes, if you have to replace them often, that gets expensive. The dish soap technique, leaving it for a while, then bristles in hot water. That's what I'm hoping will rescue them. Haven't tried it yet. And there's a new product, newer product that's, I think, a Dawn dish soap. I think it's a Dawn brand soap. And it's spray and wash stuff. And I've also used some of that when I leave a bottle of that in the bathroom, because that's where I wash my brushes. That can definitely help a bit, maybe. It's not a necessary thing, but it can make things a little bit easier, maybe. Maybe. No guarantees. Depends on the brushes. Don't have Dawn here. Lots of other brands though. Good call on the spray bottle. Yeah, I don't know what all the brands are. I'm sure they're different from one continent to another. That's one of the big, like, name brand soaps around here, the dish soaps. For whatever that is worth. Okay. So we'll be able to start getting into some of the fun stuff pretty soon here. Get some even lighter color. Because the highlights on her are very nearly just white on the image. I really love just all the detail of her skin, which I'm not quite there yet and working on, but all the lines. It's just so much more interesting to paint than somebody with perfect skin. Beautiful photoshopped even complexions, well, they're, I'm sure, very nice to have. Not that I would know, again. And also not that interesting. We're just starting to get some things happening here. Can't forget the ears. Oh. and the rest of her skin down here too. Too easy to like miss something like that. Like, oh yeah, there's more skin on this lady. Let's not forget. Let's not forget it. Lest she have a see-through chest. Okay, so kind of got basically the highlights and shadows in place. So now I can start really refining the shapes and the tones. There's so much happening, all these different planes. Okay. That's coming on. Oh, thank you. Not too bad for a beginning. I have to switch. Well, I might lay in some of the tones for the hair and the clothing real quick. Mix some color to use here a little bit, and then we'll get into some more details. Love her hair. All the colors that I've done in my hair, I don't think that I have done. Have I done orange at some point? I truly can't think to remember. If I have, it's been a long time ago. That's the color my hair goes after around one bleach. Yes. Same. Very true. Although, why does that always look so terrible when, like, you see somebody like this and you're like, man, she looks amazing with this orange hair. I always feel like I'm rocking a Bart Simpson color whenever I do my hair. Those are the days where it's like, okay, I'm not leaving the house until I get my second layer done, because I never almost ever do it in the same day. Skin. Yeah. Cool tones, I think, maybe. Yeah. That might be it. Yeah, it looks terrible. All kinds of bad. She seems to be cool toned, I think, but yeah, I don't know, maybe you just have to have the fabulous style to make it work. That might be it. Dutch Indonesian, so the orange looks horrendous on me. Yeah, I'm extremely I did do the ancestry DNA thing, and I'm extremely, well, English mostly, and then some Scandinavian and German. So just, yeah, super pale and more hair than I want, if you catch my drift. Okay. That's good for just getting some things down there. Now I'm going to do something with her clothing area to start with. Her shirt is not actually this bright, but this will be a bit colored and underpainting. Kind of love it though, so may or may not change it. I watched the movie Lights Out this weekend. It's been out for a few years now, more than a few years, I think. It was not bad. Not bad. It was well done for what it was. Um, but yeah, not the most amazing movie. I will probably forget about everything about it before long, but it was, fun for Friday evening or whatnot. And I know I watched a couple other things. I think I watched one very terrible movie and one decent movie. If I can remember, they are. Kids try to rob a blind dude. Oh no, what is that one is that called Lights Out also? Yeah, that's a messed up one. This is the one where there's this ghost lady that had it was a girl that had some problems that they did some experimental treatment on, and she like disappeared and apparently became invisible in light. So it's the whole like turn off the lights and there's a shadow of a lady, and then turn them on and she's gone, and then you turn it off and you can see her standing right in front of you, and you turn them on and she's gone. That kind of shtick. It attempted to touch on a little bit of like mental health stuff. I'm not sure that it was terribly successful with that, but for the general like story of just being like creepy movie, it was fine. I'm gonna add one more color. I want some quinacridone red. Quinacridone, something. I know words. Ooh, did this get developed from the short YouTube video? Yes. What's his name? The director. He did the Annabelle Creation movie, and he did Shazam, and I'm totally blanking on his name now, of course. But yes, David something maybe. Sandberg. David Sandberg. Does that sound right? Yeah, he got it because he'd done a short about that. Now I'm trying to think about the movie with the kids trying to rob the blind guy, and that's throwing me off too. Gotta give her some blush. She is wearing a little bit. Actually, she's probably wearing a decent amount, but she's so overexposed. But we lose a lot of it. There is a lot of little warm touches of warm, almost pinks coming through different parts of her. Get some my fluid stuff mixed in here. Paint's getting dry and icky already. Let's see here. What was I watched? Oh, I also watched The Gift, which is an older one. Was that like 2001 or something? And I think that was oh gosh, what's his name now? Sam Raimi, I think, did that one. The Gift. Cate Blanchett, yes. What a cast in that film. Holy cow. It was good stuff. I enjoyed that a lot. That one a lot. And I did not realize at all that that was Sam Raimi until later on. And I'm like, really? Oh my goodness. Evil Dead guy. Dark Man. Those silly movies. Keanu, Katie Holmes, yep. And what's the guy's name from the Whiplash film? I can't remember. I'm so bad with names. Actors, anybody. Like, I mean, I don't remember my own name. I'm sure not gonna, like, remember an actor's names. Okay, yes, things are a little messy here, but this is okay. Yeah, really young. Well, I mean, not as young as when he did Bill and Ted, but quite young Keanu Reeves in that one. Want nostalgia. What about The Faculty? That's a movie that I saw when it came out, and I haven't seen since, and I remember very little from it. Like, kinda remember. It was just that, it was so of that time. It was so that 90s. Was it 90s? It might have been early 2000s, but there's just like that look about films from that era. And the actors are, oh, I don't know. Why, I don't know what it is, but I feel like movies from the early 2000s by and large just haven't aged well. And maybe they just need more time. More time to get to that point, but boy, I have a hard time looking at them now, that's for sure. Although I've watched a few recently, not that I can remember things. Such trash, but it is my teens, yeah. We watched one of the second, I think it was the second Matrix movie this weekend. And it just reminds me when the first one came out, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was in high school, late 90s. And I think I saw it in the theater like 3 times. And then I never cared about, like, I did see the sequels, but never really cared about them too much. But saw one of them again this weekend. Like, I still kind of feel pretty mad about it. kind of beefing up any tones that I see in the skin. Going a little exaggerated with some of it. And there's definitely some of this pink tone on her neck, for sure. All right. Oh my gosh, forgetting the ears. Ears always have pink. Almost everybody's. Can't forget the ears. That would be very wrong. Even famous people have ears. And there's just so little happening on her forehead for color or anything. I'm just gonna at least pull in some hairline tone here. Ooh, that got bright. Okay. Okay, my fingers so involved, they're actually like sticky from paint. All right, now I need to start getting a smaller brush involved in the situation. Yeah, I've watched some really bad like early 2000 movies randomly. Most of them that I'm seeing are from Prime right now. Like the Ninth House of Nine. And I think it actually has like Anthony Hopkins, but man, that was bad. And just the whole era of what do you call it? Like the Saw movies that were so popular, and oh man, I've always hated them. And so many things like lower budget things trying to ape on that popularity. Oh, I saw a French film that I kind of hated. Could I even tell you what it's called? I'd have to like pull up my... This was on Shudder. Can't do gore for gore's sake. I need psychological elements. Yeah, and I think what even annoyed me even more with those movies is that they thought they were like acting as if they were being deep somehow. And they were just such crap. Really, really dislike those movies. And the Hostel films and stuff. And I get it. Oh, you're saying something so clever about tourism and whatever, but I just hate them. They're just so pretentiously gross. And it truly just feels like an excuse to be just gross. But yeah, there's some like French movies have gone through a period where they really got into like the kind of torture porn stuff. And I can't get behind it. Of horror because there are some B grade films that are B grade because camera and actors, but the story's great, yes. But others are B grade because they get pumped with money, but it's just chainsaws and shit. Yeah. Horror movies become a victim of the fact that they're cheap to make, I think. So yeah. Studio horror movies can be really, really terrible. But there's so much potential in that genre to be really interesting and to use it as a metaphor to tell stories, allegory, and such. That's where it gets interesting. Kind of roughing up the lines on her lips a little bit because she does, like, it's just not perfectly straight. With lipstick, even, you get like bits of texture along the edges. I don't care how much lip liner you use. At a certain point, you just have more things going on. It looks goofy on my painting in the image, and I don't know if it's just because of the angle of the camera. Something looks pretty off here. Doesn't seem to be too off by my measurements, but that doesn't mean anything either. Ah! Okay. Okay, figuring it out. A little bit at a time. The trick is also always trying to capture the spirit of somebody. All right, I think I see something here. All right, that helps a bit. A little bit over here. She is making a little bit of like this. In a lot of her photos, she has this like semi almost snarl going on. And it's like just that whole punk rock kind of attitude, which is really fun. And I enjoy that. But let's see, can we get this? To be quite right. Okay. Now we gotta start working towards some finer details. Yeah, there's something, I think it's called like French extremist films or something. And this is a more recent kind of movement in their horror genre, and they really like again lean into the whole um, torture stuff. Like I can handle, like I know it's all fake. I've seen it all. I'm not bothered by the gore. I just like hate it. It feels exploitative to in general if there's no, like if it's not, I don't know. I'm not really saying anything either. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know. I just don't like it. Seven, Silence of the Lambs, Alien. Alien is space psychological horror. I love Alien. It's one of my favorite movies. That is one of my favorite horror movies actually of all time. I love the slow, the atmospheric stuff in there. Just so good. I know a lot of people who actually prefer Aliens. Nah. That's like space. It's like horror action. I like the atmospheric psychological stuff. That's the good stuff. Alien and Jurassic Park. I think my partner would agree with you on the Jurassic Park one. That's one of his favorites. Um, I have. What else is on my list? The Thing is a movie I really love. And um, and The Shining is a movie that I really love. Sam Rockwell, yeah. Oh my gosh, did you see? Moon is great. It's been a while since I've seen it. I actually wouldn't mind watching it again, but that's a great film. I just saw him Possession, the movie Possession from, is it around 80-ish, 1980? Is a really crazy movie. And that's one where it uses horror to talk about all of the emotional and psychological torment, I guess, that can go with a dissolving relationship. And it's really intense. I recommend on that one. If you haven't seen it, made by it is made by a Polish filmmaker, I believe. Takes place in Germany around the Berlin Wall. I also really like oh no. Oh, there is some Italian horror that I enjoy. How to implement psychological horror in your graphic novel. Yeah, I'm trying to learn while I study, just using gray values. That's a great way. That's a great way to learn, like starting with values and, um, yeah, that's a great place to start mastering values and then adding the colors. You can hit colors as you feel comfortable with the values because that just comes on top, essentially. And I definitely see I've seen some artists who actually like paint their grayscale values and then go back and just glaze color on top, right on top of that. Mab Graves is an artist who I know does that. She does these really intricate, detailed little paintings. I'm kind of letting my surface do some of the work for me for the textures and the skin because there's a lot of very rough brush strokes, so I can kind of let the paint just glaze over that and let that be part of like the texture of the skin in and of itself. And that's working decently. I really should not put, use my fingers as much. That's pretty bad. That was way too late. All right, let me do these little horns before I lose track of them too. What happened here? Okay, there we go. Mab Graves is the name, M-A-B. She does kind of gothy little cutesy figures. She's an artist from like the New Orleans. No, she shows at Mortal Machine Gallery, but she's from, I think actually she's from like Indianapolis. Every time I go to color it gets muddy, so I'm winding it right back. Watercolor pencil this week was the only color I was allowed. And if you are using watercolors, they do get muddy very easily and very quickly, and that is something that is tricky about them, for sure. Just like in and of themselves, they inherently will get there because they're transparent. So the more that you mix or the more that you layer, those colors just all will go together and very quickly become mud. So it can be hard to manage that. My problem with sticking my fingers in the paint is that like I'll lick my finger and then wipe the paint, and then I got paint on my fingers, and well, acrylic paint is theoretically inert once it's dry. Still not the best habit. Alright, just getting a little swig of water there. I think let me think. I think, no, I don't. Let me think. Let me just think a couple more. Balancing out what's dark, what's light, my shadow areas. Deciding how they relate to each other a little bit. Okay. Not so bad to do that as long as I don't go and like lick my finger again. Some kind of heathen over here. All right, what have I got going on here? I've gone a lot more pink in her, which is okay. Maybe. I need to start working on, I think, pulling out the contrast and all the areas around the eye. Some more little, I'll start pulling in some details there. I think we're a pretty safe spot to do that, maybe. Maybe. See what happens. Yeah, watercolors do muddy, but it's stuff I've noticed in my digital work. Oh. So now I gotta study and get it in my brain. Love the pinks you've applied to her face, especially on the right cheek, her left. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely not, the tones are not exactly true to the piece, to the picture, to the reference, but that's mostly okay. It always just depends on what you're trying to achieve. Anyway. Sometimes you might want it to be a lot closer. I should just get another brush, Lynell. Use your brain. Brain doesn't want to be used today. It said no. Okay. Now what was I doing? Oh, Lord, I tell you. And where I have the cam, my face cam right there. I'm like getting right in there while I'm looking at my details, so sorry about that. You can see every pore on my face. Nobody needs that. Oh God. Yeah, great natural instincts as well as a brain. It's always nice to watch you work, thank you. Tempted to screen cap your face, close up and stretch it. Oh my. Thank you for not, but you know, I guess it could be worth a laugh. Oh man. One of the students that I have wants to do this daily, she calls it her daily Miss Lynell snap. And it's like Snapchat filter. She takes a picture of me and applies some crazy Snapchat filter to it, and it's always very terrifying, but I always make a goofy face for her where she does it. Because why not? Go with the flow. Go with it. So there are some pretty terrifying photos of me out there somewhere. Although I'm not necessarily sure you would know that it was me, much less a real person at all, if you saw them. Some weird filters out there. All right, here we go. I can beat you on terrifying photos. I'm not so sure. I'm not really a terribly photogenic person by any means, or any stretch of the imagination. I wish it certainly just isn't true. Oh, especially I've got some great ones from like high school era. Old goth Lynell. On my last phone, I had it set up to take a security photo every time I tried unlocking. Oh no, your phone unsuccessfully. This means I have an entire folder to the chin nose. Yeah, every time you accidentally switch on the cam or switch the direction of the cam and you're holding it like this, that is always upsetting to say the least. Yikes. Some are fantastic. My boob tried activating it on my walk, so there's a great chin sweaty shot. That's awesome. Sometimes our bodies just like to mess with us, I think. Oh, gotta love it. I got out a second brush to do this with. There we go again. Okay. What are we doing? Eyes? Okay, eyes. Taught me to love myself at every angle, honestly. They're hilarious. I'll never delete them. I kind of love that. I really love that. It was really hard for me when I first started doing videos to get over both seeing myself and hearing myself talk. Because I think for about anybody, your voice sounds really weird to you because what you hear in your head is not what anybody else in the world hears, nor does, of course, the microphone. That was something that was like really kind of tough for me to get past for a while, and then I'm just like, I just don't care. It is what it is. I sound like what I sound like. No change in that. Half asleep up close, post food, with all of it on my face and 3 chins, all the worse with Scarlet. I mean, there's the real us. There's the version that we'd like the world to see, but then there's the reality, and reality isn't really so bad, right? I don't think so. Timing. Your nervousness about your voice recorded is what's stopping you from getting on YouTube videos up. How do you do it? It's just like getting to where, yeah, it sounds weird to us, but if nobody in your real life that talks to you has ever been like, gosh, you kind of have a weird sounding voice. Like, it's really not weird sounding. It just is so weird to us because of what we think we hear all the time in our own ear canals and brain holes. It just is like, it's just that other level of acceptance. Like you said, accepting the weird photos or unflattering things that are just there, and you learn to love it because it's you. I mean, that's kind of the same thing with Your voice is the same, and I think it's like easier to get past thinking my voice is weird than it is to get past like the visual hang-ups. I mean, of course, everybody has their different things that we can like fixate on or whatever, but I think I'm gonna need more medium pretty soon. But yeah, it's sort of just deciding that it's okay. Voice sounds different when it's not heard within our own eardrums to brain thing, and that's fine. It's true, it already exists. May as well get over it. It's easy for me to say though. Like, how many times do you listen to somebody else even though on YouTube? Like, think about it that way too. Like, people talking on videos, people that you enjoy to watch. Like, how often have you ever turned something on and immediately been like, oh, their voice is weird. Like, we just accept people's voices for what they are, unless you're like Gilbert Godfrey doing your goofy thing. It's just something that you can put too much concern into when absolutely nobody else is thinking about it at all, you know? And that's really the thing to remember. Like going and working out at a gym. People are so worried how they look. But every single other person in there is thinking the same thing and is so worried about how they look. So then you start to like enjoy looking at the other people and wondering if they're thinking that too. And then you kind of stop thinking about that for yourself and whatever. Also, it's been many years since I've worked out in a gym. Just a few. One place I think I need a little more pink. Definitely it's under the eyes. That's not coming up pink at all. There, I did it again. Darn it. Okay, hold on. Let me get some more fluid out here. Well, you don't have to be so logical about it. Jeez, your message is getting through. Good. I mean, and I'm only talking about that because, like, I know how that is. I know how weird it can be. I think that you've motivated me to try YouTube today. Try it today. You mean YouTube? I already got my mic ready and all. Yes, freaking do it. I definitely got to the point where it's like, you know, you can spend forever trying to fuss around, but at some point, just do it. Just jump on there and do a thing and see how it goes and see how it feels. Why not? If we wait till we're ready, well, we're never ready. And the ADHD in me likes to jump in unprepared for anything and everything. Question. What do you use to edit your audio? I do all my editing within I use Premiere because I have the Adobe suite. And there is Audition too as a separate audio channel, but Premiere has a decent amount of stuff to work with, and I you know, I really don't know that much about what I'm doing with audio. I really try to get the best initial setup as I can for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, and that's about it. I have, I don't know if you can see this on the camera in the corner here. There, kind of, this is I have a HyperX solo cast mic that I use for streams. I do think if I use that to record for like edited videos, it seems to be too echoey in here because just, you know, we're in a square, a beige square with hard surfaces everywhere. So I do sometimes use, I have a lavalier mic and it's actually over here. It's an H1N from Zoom, little lav thing. And this does a little better job of, like, it doesn't pick up as much echoey tones and such. It's a little better. Yeah, it's the same, it's all within the same program. If I knew more about any of the stuff, then maybe I would use another program. I've always been interested in music and potentially like making some stuff. I never have the time to mess around, but I do have Cubase. My partner has Pro Tools. And within the Adobe suite, there is Audition. But I definitely don't know what I'm doing with any of those things. Hardly. Like, I know how to make it record, but that's about it. And you have a lap mic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, whatever you have, you can make it work. I think I started out even using like my onboard mic, which is definitely not great. Definitely not a great microphone. There have been times when I just used my phone for recording both audio and video. Because every now and again, it's like, you know, every setup is such a thing that every now and again, it's like, I just need it to be, I need the barrier to entry, what I need to do needs to not be too complicated to just jump into it. So every now and again I do that, which I know is not as good of quality, but sometimes it just works okay. Being able to do something at all is better than just fussing away at details and about quality forever and ever and ever. I mean, quality matters a bit, but sometimes you just gotta do the thing. And I have heard people say that when it comes to like YouTube videos, that your audio quality tends to be even more important than video quality. Like, people will tolerate not the highest resolution or not the greatest lighting, but if they can't clearly understand you or it sounds really bad, then you're gonna lose people. Stuff like that. I don't know. I imagine that's quite true, because I could see that. If I can't even understand what a person is saying, it's going to be really hard to sit and watch their video. Okay. Nope, that didn't show up. throw in some of this color in the hair too. Some of the more reddish bits. Yeah, I don't mind that. All right. There's certainly more I can do with her face a little bit. I actually think I might add a little bit. I'm gonna go back in with a really, really transparent layer of super light yellow, especially for all the highlight areas, primarily for the highlight areas. So it's kind of a crappy old brush that's a little poofy, not good for much else, but I can use it for this sort of application very nicely. And lots of my medium. Possible I will regret this. There's always a possibility. Kind of feel like it should be a little bit more white in that mix there. So that kind of allows me blending into some of the colors a little bit where I want to, if it looks necessary. I just love this smirk. I really, really love her smirk. Yeah, think I like that okay. All right. See, now my paint's getting really like chunky and dried up from sitting on my palette for the last hour and a half. One of the downsides to working with acrylic, of course, that always often is very problematic for me because I've always been like putting out the paint and then stressing about, do I have the right amount of paint? Am I just gonna end up wasting it? And then once you get to this point, do I really want to put out any more paint if I actually need it? Or am I just going to use up what I have on my palette, whether I need to use that color or not for what I'm doing, just because it's there and I don't want to waste it? Like, these ridiculous things can actually stress me out about getting started with acrylic paint. And even though that's what I used the longest, those exact things are what got me started with using watercolor, because I don't have to worry about any of that with watercolor. Oh, that's just too clean. I don't like that at all. There we go. That's better. Well, it probably shouldn't be. Maybe it shouldn't be so textured in this part. That's kind of how I treated that red undershirt, which actually is sequined in the picture I'm looking at. So it can start to become a little bit as it goes along. I need a dark color. Let's mix everything together and see what happens. Just don't use the white when you do that, because that will throw everything off when you're trying to have a dark color on something. The black is a better touch, I think. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's actually what the picture is. I like the idea of the turquoise, but once it went on there, it really wasn't working. And truly, this piece would be an excellent candidate for doing some mixed media work on. So I'll have to decide if I want to go back into it and do any of that also. That could be a lot of fun on a painting of like this, of her specifically. Well, you know it's summer around here because I can randomly hear people putting off fireworks outside at night. Luckily, my cat doesn't seem to be too freaked out about them. Eh. Kind of want the little horns, feel like they don't stick out quite enough to me. So some straight white maybe. See if that's too much or not. I've never been one for realism. Even though I enjoy doing portraits of people, I definitely have never really gotten to like super realistic renderings. It's just never been my approach. I don't think it ever will be. Okay, I mean, I'm not hating it, I'd say. So that's something. I definitely got to get our earrings in there too. We can't forget our earrings. What color should those be? I'm just gonna like make every brush that I'm dirty with this apparently today. Why not? Okay, Earrings. I was gonna do earrings. Okay. I think I know what I'm doing. All right. Sorry for knocking the mic if you heard that. Nobody needs eardrums. Um, yeah, I always love to see how different people create in different ways, different things. I love it, and that's why like YouTube is so great for the what do they call that? What do they call the people who like to watch other people man, words. Come on, brain. Um Pretty sure it starts with an E because that's how I remember things. It's fine. I don't remember. But yeah, curious about other people, how they live, how they do, how they make. And YouTube is the perfect place for that. Spectator, well, yeah, that's kind of it, but there's another thing where it's like exhibitionist. Yeah, there with this. Yes, that's it. That is it. Just like that deep level of curiosity about how other people do their things, live their lives, make their art specifically, especially. And everybody's just out here putting their stuff out on YouTube, and I love it. I'm here for it. Hell, I joined the fray. Okay, I like this brush for a couple little lines, so maybe I'll do a few little detaily hair bits while I've got him going. How rough my canvas board is from the underpainting, whatever you want to call it. Um, Definitely doesn't lend itself to like really fine detail, but it creates an interesting level of detail in and of itself, which is kind of fun to work around. You just never know what's gonna be interesting. I am trying for like the third time in the last year to grow out my hair because I keep cutting it short and then I decide to grow it out and then I'm like I'm tired of this. I hate it. I'm gonna cut it all off again and not get anywhere. I'm determined to see it through this time. Last week I cut off the kind of mullet thing I had going on. All the hair that was getting long in the neck and the back. I finally just chopped that off. And then once I did that, kids in my class accused me of having a bowl cut. So, you know what? Can't win. Don't care. It's fine. Maybe we'll bring back the bowl cut. It can be the new cool. That was a brief mid-30s short haircut, and then I went back to long. I've always kind of gone a lot of back and forth. For a long time, though, I've had, I had this like full undercut starting about nearly 10 years ago. I had just the hair here on top and nothing, and no other hair, like all from here down, back, and the sides was all shaved or like kept very, very short. And I let my hair grow out longer than I'd had it for a really long time. Well, I had that, like, actually had a lot of fun with that. And then I remember being a couple of years ago, right, or the year before the pandemic shut down, I was at a concert. It was cold wave, so like industrial music, so that's where all the 90s kids go and break out their old combat boots and do it up for a long weekend of Front 242 and all that kind of stuff. And I remember being there amongst all my living our glory day peers, and I looked around and like almost every chick there had an undercut, and I'm like, you know what? It's time for change. So I cut off all my hair because I'm like, if I try to grow that out, there's no way. All the hair's got to go. So I cut it all off. And ever since then, I have not quite gotten it anywhere. It has not quite cooperated with me to grow out. It hasn't been great as a shortcut for me this time. It's just been difficult. So, determined to get there this time. Get past it. I don't know that I don't want to have like long hair per se, but you can't bring back the bowl cut if it hasn't ever in. Ah, boo. I suppose you're correct. Yeah. That's why you always see me wearing hairbands and bandanas, because like my hair is just stupid all the time. So just keep it contained, and one day we'll be there. She must have these things. Does she have a string on those? I don't even see it if she does. I wonder if they're just glued on with some that theatrical paste stuff. Maybe. I have a pair of horns along those lines that I bought at the Renaissance Fair many years ago. I occasionally wear them for like a cheap and sad Halloween costume, but that's about it. But the older I get, once I hit those like 70s and 80s, I'm rocking that stuff, because, I mean, come on. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I definitely went still just a whole lot more pinks. Like her image is very much more neutral tones in the face and such. But oh, here's some weird stuff here. I've been neglecting the neck as I had been doing with the ears. So, I need to make some corrections here. Back to the drawing board. Okay. That's probably too light, but it will get me started. Well, that didn't help yet, but we'll get somewhere. Using my crappy brush again. I spend months going crazy till it gets past my shoulders. Yeah, I think once I can get it to at least like tie up into a ponytail or something, then I'll be able to handle it a little bit. But we aren't anywhere near that right now. For a while I was thinking I'd like try to grow it directly into a shag cut because I'm so, stylish and stuff. But yeah, I don't think that's quite working for me. All right. Man, this stuff's drying fast right now. My stupid acrylic paints. Bane of my existence, and yet I go back to you. And a little too warm over here. that's better. Still not quite there. Not quite yet. All the things that make people delightfully interesting as they age doesn't necessarily always mean easy to paint either. But yeah, definitely more interesting than not. I feel like my painting looks more like somebody else. And I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know. Oh, there's a little hair that comes in front of our little horns. Give me my smaller brush again. Let's do that. Just a little bit. No, that didn't work. Too transparent. Yellow will do that too. Eh. All right, I think this is probably just pretty close to about where it will be. You know what? The lips. I think they're too. I think the lips are too pink. That's part of it too, maybe. Eh. I don't know, but I think I've hit that point. I have basically hit that point where, all right, we've been at this 2 hours. My paints are disgusting and tacky. And I think it's probably a good time to call it before I continue to mess it up any further. As I keep putting more paint down. Whoa, didn't expect that to move. Okay. I think that's basically gonna be it for this young lady. I will have to decide. I'll have to decide if I want to come back and do anything else with this painting. Because I think it could be really fun to do some little other bits to add some texture and interesting things on there. Maybe. See, now I'm just gonna see things that annoy me a bit. Keep having to go back in to this. And I can fuss a darn thing that I think I'm done with for hours. There's an excellent chance that I will do that. All right. Yeah, okay. Stop, Lynell, stop. Yeah, the colors got a lot more dramatic. And that's, that's just me doing whatever I'm going to do here. Kind of just how I wasn't too terribly concerned about matching skin tones. I don't know. I'll have to decide if I want to go back and try to do some of that, maybe just with some, potentially just glazes or something. But probably not. Probably not. Very likely not. Here I am still messing around. Okay, anyway, yes. This is fine. This was fun to work on. I enjoyed this. I don't, not perfect, but it's been fun. And there is always more that could happen with it. It's just a matter of deciding, as with anything, when is it done? Oh, here's something too. Random things could still be tweaked. Didn't I say I was going to stop working on this like 10 minutes ago? Pretty sure I did. Oh, there's Watson. Was it getting time close for your last meal of the day? I bet it is. Alright, as long as I'm adding yellow everywhere else, let me make sure I don't forget the rest of her body and ears. Don't forget the ears. Okay. Alright, seriously. Paint's down. Time's up. Test is over. Alright. The laughing face top left really brings it to life. Thanks. But seriously, I think it's gorgeous. Yeah, thank you. I think I'm definitely getting a little like giddy at this point. Painting will do that too, I suppose. And I still have coffee that I'm drinking. Well, here's Watson to say goodnight to everybody. He's being camera shy, apparently. Look, there's people there saying hi to you. All right. Well, thank you for so much for hanging out with me while I made a giant mess and, screwed around, had some fun. And we'll be back at it, when? Today's Monday? Thursday morning here. Aw, he's actually purring. He doesn't purr very often. It's my boy. Alright, so good night or good day, wherever you are. What time it is exactly, I forget. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you at the next stream. Good night, bye.